as we pull back to live within our means. And Jerry's position on that is, wait a minute, how many cuts can we take? How many services can we lose? How much money can we steal from the pockets of underpaid teachers and underpaid state employees? Wouldn't a better strategy be to say, wait a minute, let's figure out where we're going to find revenue? Isn't that what many of us do with our private budgets? We hear all the time the talk about, oh, we turn down the gas. We turn down the gas to save money. That's true, we do that. But there's some point I look at my wife and say, I'm not going to bed cold anymore. And I think Jerry would argue, we're not going to bed cold anymore. And what Jerry has been working on is, where do we find the tax base that we can go after that does the least damage to the poor and working people of New Mexico? And he's identified how to do that. House bill will come to the Senate hopefully early next week. And they are doing exactly that. They have a bill that's proposing tax increases to raise approximately $500 million. Jerry's position on that, we don't know because we haven't seen, but we do know that his basic philosophy supports that type of approach. I was smiling as Mr. Real was explaining why he wanted to become Lieutenant Governor, because I had the good fortune when Jerry was first kind of getting this idea to be somewhat engaged with him over that time. And I watched the eyes light up for exactly the same reason. All of a sudden, he said, I can do something different with the issues that I care about, which tends to be very progressive issues. Those are the dropout rates. Those are the Behavioral Health Collaborative, which I'm assuming everybody knows what that is and what that costs. There was an approach to providing behavioral health services in the early part of this decade to, instead of allowing state government to provide those services, to contract out for them. And those services are things like drug addiction treatment, alcohol treatment, mental health services, home health care for mental health, people requiring mental health services. And in doing that, it was turned over to what's called Behavioral Health Collaborative, which then contracts to private enterprise. That contract had started out in an area that seems reasonable and now is approximately $450 million a year. And people are not getting checks. It has been a dismal failure. And in any case, that made Jerry make the decision to do this. And some people right up front were questioning him. You heard some of that tonight. You're such an effective legislator. Is there anybody in here that would agree with that Jerry's an effective legislator? Yes. You know, one of the things that get missed in that, and I was kind of there too, you know, is that everybody runs to Jerry because, you know, he knows the system. It's what he does. He's well respected. People can walk into his office and be received, and if they can't get it through that session, come and see me in the off time. You know, it was just that he's what every, and I'm sorry, I like the word liberal still. That's what I call it. Every liberal wants. One of us. But he knows the game. But then all of a sudden it dawned on me a few months ago, I said, Jerry, what have you really done? And I looked, he's been a senator for 6 years. And all of us have known senators and reps. that 6 years, just in a very quick tally, he has sponsored over, I mean, I counted out, so I think it's over, 138 bills. 6 years, 138 bills. Amazing. Of those, many got passed. Of those, they weren't easy bills. Do you remember when he introduced his name on the impeach Bush? That was not an easy bill. Didn't get through. Didn't get through. But his name was there. Medical marijuana. His name was there. These 138 bills, many were difficult ones that required a great deal of labor. That's productivity. That's a demonstration of someone that knows their business. The thing, when I have social conversations at my house and all, when people are talking about Jerry, just say, you know, you gotta ask. In this pool of people, there's a group of good people. You gotta ask. What is it we're asking them to do? What skill base do they need? They need to be legislators. They need to know how to conceptualize policy, how it will impact this state, and then move it through a system that's very complex. And Jerry does it very, very well.
What bills didn't get passed that he introduced?
That he did?
That he introduced.
Medical marijuana, certainly.
That got passed. That
Yeah.
was passed?
Yes.
Oh,
That's
I
law.
didn't know that. Really?
Yes, it is.
Just last year.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sorry?
Just last year, I think.
It did get passed.
Do you
Now
want some?
then we run into bureaucracy and it got stuck in the Department of Health as they took over a year to figure out the process of how we get it to our people. And I happened to help someone about 6 months ago try it. And do you know how we pick up medical marijuana in New Mexico? They call, I happen to live in Santa Fe. They call into a number. And that person says, tomorrow at 2 o'clock, I'll meet you at the Walgreens parking lot. You may not have anybody else in the car with you, independent about where you are. You may not have anybody in the car. And if there is somebody in the car and we approach, we will leave. And then they go, and it's very expensive. And so, you know, as you talk to people that really require that for medical purposes, quite often they still use a black market marijuana. You're with me because I'm old and my memory's not good, but trying to make a guess at what you may want to hear tonight when I found out I would do this, and being in your position in other times, knowing how disappointing that is, I just said, I asked a colleague of mine, pull up some of the things Jerry's done. A memorial to dismantle the 1900 nuclear weapons at Kirtland Air Force Base. Didn't pass. A memorial to impeach Bush and Cheney. Didn't pass, but it was sure fun for those of us that were involved in it. Memorials to end the war in Iraq and bring the New Mexico National Guard troops home. A built-in predatory military recruiting of low-income and students of color. It passed both houses, but was not signed by the governor. A bill establishing a protocol for testing New Mexico National Guard soldiers for depleted uranium contamination upon their return from Iraq, passed into law. A bill to establish a state office of peace, didn't pass. The Lynn and Aaron Compassion Use Act, that was medical marijuana, that passed. A bill to support services veterans with PTSD, and that was passed into law. And a bill to establish same-day voter registration, that passed. I mean, again, there are 138, but that was just kind of, where is Jerry's philosophy? And those are the issues he took down. In doing that, by the way, I counted the number of bills